Alright guys, so today we are going through the Scarlet and Violet updated tier list. It's been a while since I've gone through a tier list of the sealed products or the sets specifically when it comes to investing, especially in Scarlet and Violet era. Last time we did it was in October. Of course, a lot has changed in the market right now when it comes to the Scarlet and Violet era. Surging Sparks hadn't even released yet. We've had obviously Prismatic, now joined together, and Destined Rivals literally around the corner. So I thought, you know what, it's long overdue, let's do an update. So today what we're going to do is we're going through each of the sets, starting from Scarlet and Violet base, and we are going to go all the way through to Destined Rivals, and I'm going to rank them, okay? Now, my criteria in ranking a lot of these sets, like to invest, is basically seeing the market trends and what has been happening over the past year, or however long the set has been out, and see where it's been going, and, you know, kind of getting a rough idea of where it might be heading. Then the second point is the overall value of the set, like what big chase cards and that overall value of having the set is, right? We want to find out that total set value, because at the end of the day, good value, good set. And then lastly, we'll be looking at the third criteria, which is basically going to be the general reception of the set. Okay, so do a lot of people like the set? Do a lot of people like the specific cards in the set? How do people feel about that set? Because that does have a huge factor, right? If people feel like they don't like the set, it's not going to do very well. And that usually is the rule, and we did that with Sword and Shield, and we've seen it time and time again, right? You do have fan favorite sets, fan favorite Pokemon, and so on and so forth, which has a massive impact in that particular set. We can start things off with Scarlet and Violet base. We'll be looking at PokeDare.io today, because it allows us to go through the overall value of what is in the set, and we're also going to be looking at TCG Player at the sealed product related to that. And of course, it's going to be a variety of different products from booster boxes to ETBs, depending on what set we're looking at, so we should judge it as we go. Okay, let's start off with base set. Okay, so starting off with Scarlet and Violet base, of course, things are getting more and more expensive now in the Scarlet and Violet era compared to the last time I did this video. Everything's gone to the moon. I think last time I did this back in October, we'll see anyway, but this set was nowhere near as expensive as it is now, and that's going to be the trend with a lot of these. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to try and, you know, guess where these might go, mainly because everything's just been going to the moon right now. So, but you know, we can give it a good little try. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So we're looking at a $190 booster box, which is actually pretty insane for a set that no one really cared about for the, you know, for the longest time. So we go back over the last 6 months. When I did the last video, it was around about October, so about 6 months ago. And 6 months ago, it was under $100. Now it is more than doubled in price, or basically doubled in price to now nearly $200. I wouldn't have predicted that to be the case at all. And I'll tell you why. You go back a year, and, you know, you got October here, and prior to that, this set was never $100. So, you know, I've been thinking, you know, it's trickling upwards towards 100. Maybe by now, 6 months later, going to be maybe 120, 125, something along those lines. I didn't expect it to be nearly $200 for the base set, right? And now the base set isn't exactly the most exciting set in the Scarlet and Violet era. I'm pretty sure, like, when I ranked this set before in the past, I think it was around about C tier, I think. It's a base set. It's a good base set, but it's still just base set. Now when we go to PokeDare.io, we can see the overall value of Scarlet and Violet base, and it's $600 or over $600 in value. That has jumped up quite massively since the last time we looked at this set. And I can't exactly remember the last time the price was of this. What we'll do is we'll put up an updated price on the screen of what it was last time, so you guys get an idea of what's happened in the last 6 months. But $616 is pretty impressive. Gardevoir, still the most expensive card. The Drowsy did have this hype around it. It did push its way up, because, you know, people were just hyping it to the absolute max for some reason. Then you got the Ralts and the Kalia, which basically have natural growth over time to kind of match with the Gardevoir for the set, which is an incredible little bundle there. And you got the other, you know, illustration rares, right? The Riolu has always been quite a big one, $25. Miriam was the most expensive card. And we've got other like SIRs that have been falling, but a lot of illustration rares in Scarlet and Violet base, like the Slowpoke, the Armarouge, even the Fido, you know, over $10 now. And when I look at a set, I value it based on how many cards are above $10, how many cards are above 20, 30, 40, 50. Is there a card that's over $100? And to me, that has a, like, a huge effect on the overall appeal of the set as well. And to be honest, even though the overall value of the set has gone up, we still don't really have, we have one card that broke 50, none that are 100. You do have several that are above that $10 range now. You didn't before in the past, which is still pretty good. And then the overall feel of the set, like what's everyone's reception of Scarlet and Violet base? I think a lot of people would agree that it's a good base set as far as base sets go. But as far as the overall of the Scarlet and Violet era, I kind of feel like base set is still on the weaker side compared to what else is out there. So where would I put Scarlet and Violet base? I actually think I'm probably going to still put it in C. I don't think it's like, it's really weird. I don't think it's bad. I think everything is near enough everything anyway in the Scarlet and Violet era is just good. So it's going to be really difficult to be like, yeah, it's trash. It's not. It's not trash. Paldea Evolved up next. Yeah, this one's a good one. Paldea Evolved has been doing extremely well. And it was been doing well for the longest time. Of course, got the Magikarp, ton of illustration rares. Set's been out now for what, 2 years? Over 2 years now. So it's been around for a while. You know, it's a good one. It still is such a fun set to open. Good pull rates as well. Like volume of hits. But yeah, can be quite tough to find the biggest hits you want though. So when we look at Paldea Evolved on TCG Player booster boxes, $230. Here's the interesting thing, right? Paldea Evolved was one of the first sets in Scarlet and Violet era to really kind of take off, so to speak. It was doing very well for the longest time. And here's the thing, right? We go back 6 months when I last did this. It was around $130, $140. And the thing is around that time, there wasn't many other sets that kind of like broke free, right? They all sat around 100, maybe 110. But Paldea Evolved was slowly climbing. And it was kind of a weird one. And even like the odd one at the time was Twilight Masquerade. Twilight Masquerade kept, you know, pushing its way through. Same with Paldea Evolved. The two of them together did incredibly well. And yes, even though this set has boomed like absolute crazy to go up to 230, the fact is that base set's now, you know, pretty close behind it. It's kind of insane. Now, I think Paldea Evolved is much better than base set. I think that in the long run, it will perform extremely well. However, I do think of recent, because of some of the more recent sets that have come out and sets that are due to come out, I think Paldea Evolved has slipped a bit. I think Paldea Evolved has definitely slipped in the eyes of collectors and investors, to be honest. I think that, you know, a lot of people are just like, yeah, you know what, there's just cooler stuff out there right now. And it's a good set. It is a really good set. But I do feel like, even though it's climbed very well, I still think it will continue. But just, I don't know, just something about it at the moment seems a little bit off to me compared to where it was 6 months ago. So the overall value of Paldea Evolved, we're looking at 1.2k, and obviously you'll see what it was 6 months ago. But 1.2k is very, very impressive compared to like double basically of what the base set was. Yeah, it was released in June in 2023, so we're coming up to 2 years. Magikarp still holding the fort at $230. Iono sitting here at over 60. The Raichu 50, Tyranitar, got loads of illustration rares similar to base set that have gone up in value. And again, across the board, we've seen huge jumps, right? We saw huge jumps with cards like the Sprigatito, Heracross, Excalibur, and things like that going up in price. And even the starter Pokemon have been climbing as well. The fact that we have a card that's over $200 in this set is very, very strong. So again, when I look at a value of a set and the overall appeal of it, we're looking at like a 1.2k set. $200 of that is in a Magikarp. So you're looking at about $1,000 for the rest of the set. That's pretty good. Paldea Evolved is a large set, of course, but it's still a pretty good one, right? So yeah, Iono, really cool card. There's a lot of big fan favorite Pokemon here, of course. It does have the starter Pokemon and the whole Star Evolution line, which people do like, and I think every single generation, people just like to see the Star Evolution lineup, to be honest. Good strong illustration rares in this set as well, and a ton of value. Like, I'm scrolling down and there's just so many cards that are over $10 now, and even then, a lot of the illustration rares, like they were like $2, $3 in the past, are now pushing towards that $10 mark, which is very, very impressive. A lot of the special illustration rares have slipped a bit, whereas the illustration rares have, you know, taken over. But overall, this is still a very good set and a fun set to open. big fan favorite cards, and you got a really big, you know, chase card that people really want. Tough to grade, of course, incredibly expensive in a PSA 10. So where does Paldea Evolve sit? I'm pretty sure last time I put Paldea Evolve, I think I put it in A tier. I'm sure I put it in A tier. Now, we didn't have S plus tier last time. We only had S tier, because now there are definitely sets which I deem to be S plus, and we'll get into them a little bit later on. But where does Paldea Evolve sit? So for me right now, Paldea Evolved, I do feel, like I said, I do feel like it's a strong set. I do think it will still perform very well, but I think it's fallen out of favor with a lot of people. I think people's priorities are just elsewhere at the moment, and we have seen slightly slower growth with this set compared to some of the others, and base set is creeping up. But I do still feel like Paldea Evolved is an A tier set. I still do feel like it is an A tier. If it continues down the route it's going, where it is slipping even more and more, then it could end up in B tier as more sets overtake it, but we haven't got to that point yet, so it is holding on. Next up, we've got Obsidian Flames. Now, Obsidian Flames was arguably the worst set of the Scarlet and Violet era, and I don't think it is anymore. I definitely don't think it's the worst set. I like, in the past I called it Dancer Blaze 2.0. I mean, it's kind of Dancer Blaze 2.0 if I'm being honest. Like, it is just slightly better than Dancer Blaze. Dancer Blaze, of course, in the Sword and Shield era had the Charizard VMAX, which was the big chase card back then. Don't get me wrong, the Charizard SIR is way better. And of course you do have other big Charizards in the set as well. But yeah, Obsidian Flame's a weird one. It's a small set, easy to complete, which is great, you know, if you want to get a master set. But by that logic, the value of the cards don't hold very well. So, but it'd be interesting to see how the seal market's going. Okay, right. So Obsidian Flames booster boxes. Let's take a look. So we're looking at $215. So again, slightly more than base set. Very, very close to Paldea Evolved. Now, that's a whole different story to what it once was. Let's take a look 6 months ago. So when I did this 6 months ago, it was sat, no, actually, to be honest, it was sat probably around that Paldea level, which was around that 120 to 130. It was kind of a weird one, actually, because I do remember Obsidian Flames, everyone was hating on it. But the boxes were holding quite high value compared to everything else. It was kind of weird. It was like they didn't like it, but it was still doing very well, and people were still buying it. But $215, this goes to show the power of Charizard does still carry a set, because it is a small set, and we'll see the value of the set in a minute in the cards, but I don't know, for me, I don't see Obsidian Flames. I mean, look, it's definitely better than Dancer Blaze, okay? It's worth already way more than Dancer Blaze, and it's seen huge gains, right? We go back a year, and we can see that this booster box has gone up by 111%, which is bonkers at this point. Like, I didn't think Obsidian Flames would like reach 200, probably not even by the end of this year, let alone already. So it's already, like I said, it's surpassing my expectations, which is you know, pretty good. Okay, so we take a look at Obsidian Flames. Came out in August of 2023, so coming up 2 years. $335 overall. It is a small set, okay? So you know, it's one of these things, if it's a small set, you're going to see smaller values. It's just the way it goes. But it has gone up, as you can see from last time. Charizard, $62 for the big boy. Hasn't really moved up a huge amount. I'm pretty sure it was maybe $50, $60 6 months ago. Golden Charizard, $20. Ninetales, $20. Cleffa, again, nice illustration rares. We're seeing a similar trend, right? Same with the last two sets. Illustration rares are going up in value across the board. Here we're seeing the Sizzle, the Houndour, the Gloom, things like that, just reaching very, very you know, good prices as well. And of course Charizard, right? Charizard's just holding down the fort value of this set. There isn't a huge amount of value to be had in this set though, unfortunately, because it is a small set, and like I say, it's easy to pull the cards from it. So the overall feeling of Obsidian Flames is a bit of a weird one. I don't think it is the worst set by any stretch of the Scarlet and Violet era, but I do feel like it's not one of the best ones either, or nowhere near one of the best ones. Charizard is strong, right? We've seen the power of Charizard time and time again. Carry sets that are just terrible, right? Champion's Path, terrible set. Charizard's carry that one. Dancer Blaze, it kind of carries Dancer Blaze, and so on and so forth. So for me, I think this one's still pretty good. But yeah, where does it belong, right? Where does it belong in the tier list? Is it better than Paldea Evolved? No. Is it better than base set? I mean, it's slightly more expensive than base set. I kind of feel like base set has a lot more appealing cards in it, even though Charizard is very strong. So for me, I'm going to put Obsidian in C behind Scarlet and Violet base. I think that's where it belongs. Definitely not D tier, but a C. And C's not bad, by the way. C's not bad. I would say C is average, and anything above C is above average. D is pretty terrible. Okay, 151 is up next. This one's an interesting one. Last time when I did this list, 151 was in S tier, and with good reason, right? 151 is incredible. It's such a good set. I've actually, I've made a comment on it saying that I believe that 151 is the modern era base set for a lot of people, especially people coming back into the hobby, people new to the hobby, people that didn't experience base set growing up or anything like that. For kids and stuff, this is going to be their base set. They can feed off the nostalgia maybe that their parents have for 151 compared to base set and so on and so forth. So it could well be the modern day base set. I'm not saying it's going to be the same level of money, but just the feel of the set, it's just where it is. The artwork is incredible. Just everything about 151 is just a home run set. Right, but look at 151, the regular ETB, $200. That is mental. So we go back 6 months when I last reviewed it. It was under $100, so it just reached 100 last time I did this video. So it is doubled in price since I last checked. And yeah, that's just really, really strong. And I knew this was going to be a good one. Again, like everything else, I didn't expect it to go up as quick as it has. But it is such a good set and a very strong product, right? We go back a year, we can see the real growth of 151. It's gone up by 268%. And yeah, we're looking at an ETB, which could be just a regular ETB, several $100s. I mean, it's already a couple of hundred, but could reach $300, $400, $500 in ETB. That is a possibility, and that's pretty insane, right? Could you imagine breaking down the cost of an ETB per pack basis? If this reaches your $450, that's $50 a booster pack. So, you never know. But yeah, it is doing very, very well, and I do expect it to continue to climb. It is that good. Okay, so the overall value of 151 is 1.3k. It is a relatively smallish set. It came out in September of 2023. So, overall, a pretty good set, right? It's been out nearly 2 years. I'm surprised it hasn't been printed even more, to be honest. It means it is a holiday set. I'm surprised 151 hasn't had any more. I know we have Blooming Waters, but that really didn't well, especially here in the UK, didn't see much of the light of day, but there you go. So we have Charizard coming in, $250. We got the Blastoise at 80. We got the Venusaur pushing 70, Zapdos over 60, Squirrel 50, and so on and so forth. One thing I will say about 151, there's a lot of value in the cards. There's not a huge set, but this set has a 1.3k value. Okay? It's not top heavy. There's a lot of cards with a lot of value. As you can see, we're going to keep scrolling. Loads of cards over $30. Loads of cards over $20. Loads of cards over $10. This set holds incredible value. Like, absolutely. Big, strong illustration rares. Of course, it's that power of nostalgia. You've got the starter Pokemon that have insane values. Charmander, $50. Squirrel, $50. Bulbasaur, $42. Do you know what I mean? Like Pikachu, $38. Incredible. And then obviously the final evolution line, it makes sense for them three to be the top three. I'm kind of surprised Blastoise and Venusaur haven't broke $100. That I am surprised. I mean, Charizard's Charizard, right? 250. But I am quite surprised the other two have not broke $100. I think they will eventually, but there was a lot of this set printed, but that hasn't stopped it. It hasn't stopped the power of 151. And like I said, the nostalgia factor is no joke. And I do believe this is the modern day base set. It's just so good. Pull rates are actually really good as well. That's the surprising thing with 151. So where should we put it? Where should we put 151? Like I say, it is performing just incredibly well. It really, really is performing incredibly well. And I just don't see it slowing down. I really don't. The power of nostalgia, we've seen it time and time again, is so strong. So for me, I think 151 has to be S+. It's just so good. Like, this set is just in a whole different universe compared to some of these other ones that we've already looked at. Okay, after 151, we now have Paradox Rift, so things calm down a little bit with the release of Paradox Rift. So onto Paradox Rift, we have $192, so nearly $200 Paradox, done incredibly well. 6 months ago when I last checked this set, pretty sure it was cheap, right? Yeah, it was around $100, $105. And I believe at the time, or roughly around that time, it was sat around $100 for a while. Yeah, around 100, under 100. So this set was once the cheapest booster box. And now it's basically on the same level as base set. And this set is not that old. Not even 2 years old yet. Big set, huge set. They started slightly increasing the pull rates when Paradox Rift came out. As in, like, what I mean by pull rates, as in, like, it was tougher, right? So that made the sets a little bit harder to hit those big top cards. An absolute ton of illustration rares are also in this set. We'll take a look at the cards in a minute. But the fact is, it's gone up by 100% over the past year. I don't think this one's going to perform as well as some of the others. A lot of people call this a sleeper set. I mean, it is good, but I don't think it's amazing. There are some nice cards in this set. Again, I think some fan favorites, but not a huge amount. But overall, yeah, this set is still doing very well. $200 a booster box, pretty much. Which is still very impressive for being one of the cheapest. Okay, Paradox Rift, overall value, we're looking over $1,000. And you can see what it was last time. November 2023, so we're looking at what? You know, year and a half it's now been out. And, you know, big set, huge set. So it's a massive set that has $1,000 value. Okay, we got the Groudon, just under $100. We got the Altaria, that one has definitely climbed. Be the second most expensive card at 60. Roy Moon holding on there with 57, and then we've got Garchomp, Iron Valiant over 30. We've got a few cards over 30. Again, a lot of strong performing illustration rares. Kind of a bit of a flashback to, you know, base and Paldea Evolved, where we're seeing the power of illustration rares shine through. Really, I mean, the biggest cards in the set. I mean, some of the special illustration rares are slipping further and further down, whereas the normal illustration rares are pushing, you know, literally pushing their way through, which is very, very impressive. And there was a lot of playable cards as well that did come from this set, which is pretty cool. So as far as like the feel of the set and people's reception of Paradox, a lot of people call it like a dark horse. Some people meme on it. For me, I kind of feel like it's a middle of the road set. There's some really nice artwork. One of the things I do like about Paradox, and same with Temporal, which we'll get to when we get to it, is the artwork's incredible. I think the artwork in Paradox is amazing. Groudon, Altaria, Roy Moon, I absolutely love them. Even the Iron Valiant. And some good strong illustration rares. And it's nice to see the value of the set go up overall. And there's a lot of value in here that's spread across a lot of cards. Again, you have one kind of top heavy card. But outside of that, like, a lot of value is spread quite nicely across a lot of cards in the set. It's actually not that bad to open to get that value. So for me, I think that's a kind of a good thing about Paradox. As far as like fan favorites, there's a lot of new Pokemon in this. Of course, you got Groudon as well, but there are a lot of new ones, which can be a bit of a hit and miss sometimes. Because again, we've seen, you know, from 151, nostalgia strong. Where would I put Paradox overall? Like I said, I don't think it's a terrible set. Booster box wise, basically the same as base set. A little bit less than Obsidian, but I do think it's better than both of those sets. So for me, Paradox, I'm going to put you in B tier. I don't think you're bad. I think you're just mid, right? You're middle of the road, good artwork, has, you know, potentially could still be a dark horse, but overall, I do kind of want to put it in mid. Okay, next up, we got Paldea Fate. So we've got a holiday set coming up. Paldea Fate was an interesting one, right? We had Shining Fates, which was kind of, well, it was big at one point, and then it got printed into Oblivion. Then we had Hidden Fates, arguably one of the best modern era sets ever printed. And now we got Paldea Fates, right? Bringing back all the baby shinies, the full art shinies, and big boy Charizard. Okay, onto the Paldea Fates ETB, just a regular one. We're looking at $130, we're pushing $130 right now, gone up 50% over the past 3 months. When I last checked 6 months ago when we last did the video, it was around $40 to $50 in ETB. And now it's over 100, well, basically 130. It's gone up 175%. Again, I didn't think this would be the case at all. There was a lot of Palladium Fates around. Like before Christmas, before the holidays, honestly, Palladium Fates was everywhere. Like, if you were looking at, you know, mini tins, ETBs, triple pack blisters, booster bundles, like you name it, there was just so much. Collection boxes, you name it. There was so much of Palladium Fates around that I just didn't think it would even get to this point. So we have a look since the set came out. I mean, look, it literally plodded along for the longest time because it was everywhere. It was so heavily printed at the start. It didn't seem like it would, you know, go to where it is now. It thought it would be like a slow grind and a plod along. But nope, the market's strong. $130 in ETB, obviously nowhere near the same value as 151, which reached $200. Where does this lie? You know, where does the fate or Palladium Fates go? I think it's going to go the same line as Hidden Fates. I truly do. I don't think it's going to go the same way as Shining Fates. That got printed into oblivion. I think Palladium is going to do incredibly well and continue to do well. I don't know where it will stop, but it can, like, if these don't get reprinted, which I don't believe they will, specifically the ETB, I do think that we're looking over $200 and looking at that Hidden Fates level. I really do. So that's a good one. Okay, so we're looking at Palladium Fates. This came out January of 2024, so literally just over a year old. Still has a lot of time left in its print cycle. That's the interesting thing with Palladium Fates. The set is what, 15 months old? Usually sets, especially specialty sets, tend to get printed a little bit longer. You're looking between 18 months to 2 years. I'm surprised it hasn't had many. I mean, a lot of talks about booster bundles, but I'm surprised there hasn't been more. The 1.5k nearly. The Bubble Mew has just blown up. Even the Charizard's been doing pretty well, but specifically the Bubble Mew Gardevoir's been climbing as well. We've got big money cards here. There's a huge set, guys. And not only is it a huge set, it's also a huge set that has a lot of hits because of the baby shinies. And when you open up the set, you just get hit after hit after hit after hit because of the baby shinies, right? And just like Shining Face, just like Hidden Face, baby shinies hold like somewhat a good value, which is pretty good. Let's take a look at this. Of course, we've got the Pikachu, the biggest baby shiny in the set. You got Charmander, you got some good special illustration rares in the set as well, some full art shinies. But again, not a huge, like with this set, like not a huge amount of cards that are like $20, $30. Isn't that many? But you got a lot that's just worth lots of little bits of value, and the list goes on. Like I could be scrolling for days and look how many hits, look how many baby shinies there are. And they're like, you know, $3, $4, $5 a piece. And it just keeps trickling over. That's where the value is. There's just so many hits in this set that's what builds up the overall value. Look at this. I'm still going. I've been scrolling for ages and we're still seeing shinies. There we go. So the end of the shinies there. Here. Down here. So many hits that you can get in this set. It is unbelievable. So it's a fun set to open. It is getting more expensive now. So pulling these little small hits might not necessarily be the best. But that's where the value lies, of course. So the overall feel of Palladium Fates, I think Palladium Fates is way better than Shining Fates. I do feel like it has the potential to be as good as Hidden Fates. So Hidden Fates had the big shiny Charizard. This has a big shiny Charizard. You do have the Umbreon. This does have the Bubble Mew, which is very, very strong performing card. Big fan favorite card. People love the artwork. I don't know. I kind of feel like the full art shinies in Hidden Fates is better. But the special illustration rares is also very good. And like, if I had to compare this again to like the overall of the Scarlet and Violet era, people love Palladium Fates, and people want that chance to pull a big Bubble Mew. They do, and then Charizard, of course. Where would I put Palladium Fates? I think it's really good, right? I've already seen $108. Very expensive for an ETB. The fact is that we're looking at, you know, an ETB that's a little over a year old at $130 already is no joke. Like literally no joke. I don't think Pokemon will reprint the ETBs. I think they'll reprint things like booster bundles and, you know, maybe some tins or whatever. So for me, I think it's going to be a very, very good one. Bubble Mew's got to carry, and I also think the Charizard as well, and a lot of amazing baby shinies. So for me, where would I put it? I'd put it in S tier. Not S plus, but in my opinion, I do think it's just overall better than Paldea Evolved. It's kind of hard to judge sometimes, holiday sets with booster box sets. But I think Paldea and Fates deserves to be an S tier. Okay, on to Temporal Forces. Now, Temporal Forces is my pick for a Dark Horse set. Has been for a long while. I do feel like Temporal Forces has some incredible cards, amazing artwork, and it was the shift towards the tougher pull rates and the smaller print runs within the Scarlet and Violet era. And I think ever since Temporal, things definitely started to see a shift happening regarding the new sets. Okay, so we look at Temporal Forces. So booster boxes, we're looking at 192. So again, very similar to Paradox, very similar to base set and so on. Again, a similar trend to a lot of these. But like I say, it's been doing very well. Last time I checked this set, when we did this, it was around $115 to $120. So it was more on the slightly higher side compared to some of the other sets at the time. And it's just a good set, right? Kind of tough pull rates. Again, another big set off of the back of, Paldea and Fates, and even off the back of Paradox Rift as well. But overall, it's very heavily on the special illustration rares in this set, more so than the illustration rares. It did bring in the A-Spec trainer cards as well, so it definitely added in a little bit of extra spice to the set. But overall, this has been doing very well, right? Over the past year, we're looking at 86% climb. It was one of the more expensive boxes at the time. It was. Being around that 115 mark compared to like 105 that a lot of them were. But it has seen incredible growth, and it's sat up there as well for a set that's a lot younger as well. Is very, very good, very impressive. So we're looking at the overall value of this set, just under $1,000. Came out March last year, so the set's basically a year old. We're still quite young. Potential reprints could be down the line for Temporal. And, so we're looking at less value of this set compared to Paradox and some of the other sets that are out there. And again, this is a large set. We take a look at this, and a lot of these are in the SIRs in this set. There's some good, strong SIRs. There's also some good fan favorite illustration rares as well. So you do have, a card over $100 with the Raging Bolt. You do have some cards that are over $50 or around $50, which is pretty impressive. And the Ghastly, which is one of the big illustration rares of the whole era, doing very well. Could see some more gains. We are seeing some other illustration rares like the Swordsbuck, Megagross and stuff, which are climbing up in value. And apart from that, this set doesn't have a huge amount of cards that are around that $10 and above, unlike we saw in Paradox with all those illustration rares that were pumping quite high and climbing. That helped when you open up the set. Yeah, good feel of getting good value when you open up that set. So again, this is a large set. Kind of is top heavy, especially with trying to get the special illustration rares with tougher pull rates as well. Does make it feel bad. You kind of got not a huge amount of nostalgia in this one. It's a lot of like the legendary beast, but in their new forms, which I like. And I think the artwork in this set is just absolutely incredible. This is the closest we're going to get to like a Gengar. These two are the closest we're going to get to a Gengar card, big Gengar card. And I do feel like it's kind of on that same boat as Paradox, but it is still young. It's only a year old. Where would I put Temporal? It is a year-old set, tougher pull rates. The booster box is the same value as Paradox. The set is a little bit less than Paradox, but it's had less time to mature like Paradox has. For me, I'm going to put it in B tier. I'm going to put it above Paradox. I just think it's slightly better. I think they're very close. I think both sets are very close. You could argue that one's better than the other, but for me, I think Temporal is a middle / like good set, which I do like. Okay, up next, Twilight. Twilight Masquerade was an interesting one because Twilight Masquerade was the one that brought us the big boy. Okay, we're talking about the Greninja. And that really did change the landscape because we saw tougher pull rates, even more so than Paradox and Temporal that came before it. And we saw a card which went to insane heights in value. So a lot was riding on Twilight Masquerade. People didn't like the set before it came out. People were hating on it. The amount of videos and content I saw of and posts and everything of people just slating the set before it came out. And look at it now. People absolutely love the set. So, Twilight Masquerade. Let's take a look at this one. $212. So, slightly more expensive than Paradox. And basically all the other booster boxes we looked at, except maybe Paldea Evolved. But still pretty good, right? $212 for a set that is still relatively young. We go back 6 months, and when I last did the video, it was around 160. So I said this when we went through the Paldea Evolved. This and Paldea Evolved were leading the pack. This one really pushed ahead. It was like, wait a minute. At the time, this set was like 4 or 5 months old. Why is it at retail already? This is pure insanity. I'm surprised that Twilight hasn't gained more, like much more than some of the others, okay? It's gone up 42% since the last time we've done this, right? We saw a lot of these other sets go from 105, 110, 115, up to 200, okay? We're seeing a set that was 160 up to 210. Not as big as of a jump. It is still more expensive than the others, but this was already $40, $50 ahead of those sets already, okay? So this hasn't climbed as much as I thought it would compared to how strong this set has performed. It is still young. Hasn't really been any reprints for this set either, so we got to keep that in mind. But yeah, this set just climbed straight out the gate. It was kind of a weird one. And yeah, I am surprised that it hasn't sold anywhere near as like the value isn't anywhere near as high as I would have thought it would have been. So we look at the set, Twilight Masquerade, again another big set. Came out in May, so that gives you guys an example. So end of May 2024, we're not even a year in. 1.2k value in the set. You can have a look and see where it was before. Greninja is $300 or nearly $400 of the set. Let's just wipe out, okay, nearly $400 of value. The rest of the set is $800 in value. Kind of ish, similar, on the same level as some of the other sets, if not worse. Let's take a look. Perrin, we got over $100. The Carmine, over $80. We've got the EV illustration rare, big illustration rare there, at 67. We've got the Blood Moon Ursaluna at 40. And then everything drops. So we've got a few cards here that are over 20. Got a few illustration rares, like the Chansey, that are creeping their way up. Same with the Growlithe at 20. And then you got the Ogerpons, which are not well received. A lot of people don't like the Ogerpons that much. And then apart from that, you got a few cards that are like over $10, but that's it. This is a very, very top heavy set. If you wiped out even just the first 3 cards of the set, what you're looking at $400, like $600 of value wiped out from the top 3 cards, and that leaves this set, being pretty weak. So it's a really interesting one. I mean, I've never been a fan of Twilight Masquerade, and I stick by it personally as far as cards go in the set. I'm not a huge fan. I do like the Greninja, I do like the Eevee, but that's it. I'm not a fan of Full Art Trainer cards being the biggest cards in the sets. I've been quite vocal on that for the longest time. I think the feel of Twilight Masquerade, the reception that people get from this set, is because of the Greninja. Because it was leading the pack as the most expensive card in the whole of the Scarlet Violet era by a fair margin. When this card was sat at like $350, $400, the next biggest card was like 100, maybe 110, 120. It wasn't anywhere near what we are in the moment, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, I think it's all about the Greninja. And of course, the others do hold good value, but yeah, the Greninja really does carry the set. So overall, where would I put Twilight? It's interesting. I can't remember where I put Twilight last time. I think I put it in A tier. I think. Where would I put Twilight? And again, I think it kind of falls under the same category as Paldea Evolved. In the fact is that I'm surprised it hasn't climbed as much as it has compared to some of these other weaker sets. Right, or at least sets that appear to be weaker. But it is due a reprint. Whether or not it will get reprinted, we don't know. That will obviously impact future things. But right now, it is still going strong at a set that's not even a year old, and it's over $200, which is very, very impressive. So for me, I'm going to put Twilight Masquerade above Paldea Evolved. I think it still is A tier, even though it is a very, very top-heavy set. But again, like Paldea Evolved, I think it's slipping. I think people are looking at the more newer stuff and what is to come rather than what has been, to be honest. Trying to Fable. Okay, well, I mean, this is an interesting one. This one had a really weird one because it had a botched release. There was lots of delays getting product, and it was squished in between the release of Twilight and Stellar Crown. It was just an absolute mess. And not only that, it wasn't well received. A lot of people didn't like the set that much. They didn't like Pokemon that are in the set, or the majority of the Pokemon that were chosen to be in the set. And yeah, it just kind of fell a little bit flat. So we take a look at Shrouded Fable. We're looking at $54 or $55 in ETB. Has been going up, went up by 57%. 6 months ago is when I last checked this. It was about $30 in ETB, under $30 in ETB. Damn, that was cheap. So it's nearly doubled in value. A lot of people try to pump this. I don't know why. It's not good. It never has been good. I don't think it ever will be good. And it's kind of like, I would say it is better than Pokemon Go, but it is kind of on that level. It's not the best. And the reason why a lot of people were buying it is because this was the only thing that was available, because nobody wanted it. And now everybody was like, oh, we can't get a Pokemon product. Oh, there's Shrouded Fable. Let's buy Shrouded Fable. Oh, wait a minute. Is Shrouded Fable good? Oh, if people buying it, it must be good. No. Just stop. Just stop. Unfortunately, this set technically it's doubled in value, which is pretty good, but I just don't see it. It's not on that same level as some of the others, right? It's not on that same level as Palladium Fates. It's on that same level as 151. It's a pretty poor specialty set. It is what it is. Okay, so we look at the overall value of Shrouded Fable. We're looking at $700. The value's kind of there, right? It is a small set, by the way. The value's not bad. Came out in August, so the set's like not even a year old yet. And we've got the overall value of the set. There's this one again is another set quite similar to Paradox in the fact is that there's value there, and a lot of cards they're not insane. There's no big top heavy card. There's just lots of value to be had in a wide range of cards. So it makes it a little bit better to get value when you pull stuff. The downside is the pull rates of Shrouded Fable are also shocking. That doesn't help. So you got the Persian coming in at $50. We've got Urban Vessel, basically 50. A bunch of cards here around that $50-$40 range. Houndoom, awesome looking card. And again, illustration rares, gold cards even that are pushing through in this set. And again, look at the value. The value's there. $20, over $20 cards. I mean, illustration rares still over 20, 15. Loads of cards above that $10+ range for a small set, and for a set that people just don't like. Pretty impressive. I must say, that is very, very impressive. So, overall, how do I feel about Shrouded Fable, and how do I feel like other people think about Shrouded Fable? I don't think a lot of people like it. Now, you can have your favorite cards. I mean, I like the Persian. I like the Houndoom. The Dusk Gold lineup is pretty cool. I actually really like the Cresselia illustration rare and stuff. So, there are cards I like, and I think other people like as well, but I don't know. I think the overall feeling of Shrouded is a bit lackluster. So for me, where would I put Shrouded Fable? I'm going to put it in the same place as I did last time, which is in D tier. I just don't think it's great. I know. I just don't think it's that great. Okay, we're on to Stellar Crown now. Stellar Crown. So this one kind of came out pretty quickly after the release of a botched release anyway of Shrouded Fable. Smaller set now. A little bit easier pull rates. Well, still quite tough pull rates, but because it was a smaller set, it felt a little bit better to open and enjoy. And it has, in my opinion, one of the best cards in the whole era in it. So that's got that going for it at least. So Stellar Crown. Booster box is 205? Damn, I didn't think it was that much. Holy smokes. So $205 for a Stellar Crown booster box. This set is not old. It is a small set as well. Last time I checked this set, it had pretty much just come out, or near enough just come out. Yeah, October-ish. So 105. So it's about 100, 105, similar to the others. This is the growth, right? You look at Twilight. We looked at Twilight Rose, like $50 more 6 months ago, and it's only $10 more now. So a lot of these sets have caught up with Twilight Masquerade, okay? And this set is younger, than Twilight Masquerade. So this is a strong performing set. This set's actually doing really well. Sealed, this is very, very impressive. 6 months ago, if you told me that this would double in value, I'd be like, no way. In 6 months, I'm like, no shot. Hey, it's doing really, really well. Again, reprints could be on the horizon for this because of how young the set is, of course. But still, very, very impressive for a set that is quite young. Okay, so Stellar Crown came out September in 2024. So it's been out, what, 7-ish months? $510 in value. That's not good. That is pretty poor. Okay, so basically you can buy the entire set, the equivalent of 2.5 booster boxes. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So we've got the Squirrel coming in at $60, now the most expensive card. Terrapagos, the Bulbasaur as well. Again, that nostalgia pushing through very well there. Dashbun, my all-time favorite card, especially from the Scarlet and Violet era. 35. You got a few other, special illustration rares which are holding. Again, some of them are pretty terrible. And that's basically it. I mean, you got a few illustration rares. Again, they're not holding a huge amount of value. I mean, they're under $5 a piece. Wowza. This set is, as far as like single cards are concerned, pretty weak. Like I said, that's why I'm so surprised that booster boxes are just so damn expensive. The set's only 7 months old. It's $200 or over $200 a booster box. Reprints haven't come out yet. The cards, I mean, if a reprint comes, these cards are going to drop. These cards are going to drop like mad. Because it's a small set, it is so much easier to pull these cards. So if a big reprint comes, we could be seeing the value of this set plummet. And there's no way that you can have a set, especially in modern era, right? As in, like, it's still in a print run set where the value of the cards total is less than the booster box. I mean, I don't think that would be the case, but if the booster boxes keep rising and a reprint happens and the booster boxes don't fall, but the cards do, then you have a problem because then the set's just not worth buying. So it's a very, very interesting one moving forward with Stellar Crown. So thinking about all that with Stellar Crown, it's kind of a weird one. I can't remember where I put it last time. However, because of how expensive it is and the value you get is very poor and it's due to have a reprint as well, I'm going to put Stellar Crown below base set. I don't think Stellar Crown is as good as Scarlet and Violet base at the moment. I think Stellar Crown has the potential to grow, but then, yes, I think the impending thought process of if a reprint comes will really hurt it. It's going to hurt that sealed value, that single card value. Single card value is already really poor. Not looking good. Not looking good. Okay, Surging Sparks. Now, we're going to get into the final four. This is where things heat up. So we have Surging Sparks here. When I did this list, I don't think Surging Sparks didn't even come out. I don't know if I ranked it or not. Like, when Surging Sparks came out, a lot of you guys like, Jace, you got to update it, you got to update it, you got to update it. I was like, no, I'm going to wait until a few more sets come out and then I'll update it. And a lot has happened since then. So this is where things start to get really, really interesting. So, Surging Sparks booster boxes, we're looking at $250. This set came out in like November. What's that? 6 months ago? Well, 5 months ago. And we look at $250. So it is considerably more than all the other sets that we just looked at. Right? Very, very impressive. Okay. Even over the past 3 months, hasn't really climbed much actually. But we go back over the last 6 months, or pretty much when it came out. It did come out at a reasonable price, and then it just absolutely went to the moon. Unlike the rest of these, where they kind of plodded along, and then towards the end of the last year, they then skyrocket, to high heights. Surging Sparks was just selling at such high volumes at such a climbing price was just unheard of. And the cards in the set are incredible. It's a large set, tough pull rates, just everything. It's got a perfect storm. It's got the perfect concoction, and it's just doing incredibly well. No real big reprint has happened yet with Surging Sparks. This set is still very young. I do expect more to come. Will it be enough? I think it would be enough to cut the price a bit, but it won't make it crash unless they just literally print into oblivion, but I just don't see that happening. So, Surging Sparks, came out at the beginning of November. 1.5k in value. Huge compared to the rest of the sets we just looked at. But again, a very top-heavy set. Pikachu, $400, so more than the Greninja. We've got the Latias at $200, Milotic $134, and then the Pikachu and so on and so forth. So again, if you take away even the top 3 biggest cards like we did with Twilight, this set still has a lot of value in it, right? I mean, what, 400, 600, say 750, you still got $750 in value still for the rest of the set, which is very, very impressive. Let's take a look. I mean, again, how we judge a set, how many cards do we have over certain values? We got a $400 card. We got a $200 card. We got a card that's over $100. We got, several cards that are over $50. cards are over 40, cards are 30, 20, and so on and so forth. But it does drop quite rapidly, unlike Paradox Rift, where it has quite a lot of cards, even Shroud of Fable, where it has cards where, you know, a lot of them hold good value down the line. This set falls off quite quickly, and it's, again, quite a top-heavy set, but that top is so heavy and very strong, and with tough pull rates as well. And again, these are fan favorites. Pikachu is a powerhouse. It is the poster Pokemon. It will carry a set like Charizard. It will carry a set on its own. And the fact is that you have a card which is $400 with tough pull rates in a booster box that's $250. It's insane. Now, this set has set a new precedent moving forward, and it's like, if the sealed value is so high, and like the single cards is also high, it's gonna keep that sealed product high. You're not gonna, unlike Stellar Crown, it's a very different ball game, right? It's a very, very different ball game. So yeah, Surging Sparks, incredible. Where do we put it? Where do we rank it? We never ranked it before. You know, would I say that it's as good as 151? Would I say is it on the same level as Paldean Fates? Is it worth to be in that S plus tier? You know, it's a strong performing set, but reprints, you know, could potentially wreck the set. It does have that. But where would I put it? I would put it in S tier. I would put it above Paldean Fates. I just don't think it's as good as 151. That nostalgia of 151 is just too strong. It's too strong. But still, Surging Sparks is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So when Surging Sparks came out, the market was pretty interesting, but then when Prismatic came out, it completely changed the game. We're in a new era now in 2025, as we all know. It is a very interesting time in Pokemon where people are leaving the hobby, people are selling their stuff, people are, I'm out, I'm not doing this. It's just ridiculous. So let's see Prismatic. Okay, right, Prismatic ETBs. I'm actually intrigued. It's been a while since I looked at this. So $130. So this set is what? Just over 2 months old, 2.5 months old. And we're looking at an ETB that's the same price of a Paldean Fates ETB. Paldean Fates, as we've already seen, has been out a little over a year. And this has been out for 2.5 months. And we're already at $130. Now, it has dropped, okay? It was at 150, did do a dip to 100, and then the scarcity is now kicking in a little bit. And yeah, it's just wild, right? If we go back even in the last month, it has fallen a little bit. So where is the journey going to be? Okay, it declined. Look at that. Bang, it just went through the roof. Where is the journey going with Prismatic? It all relies on reprints. That's going to be the fate of this set. Okay. Now, Pokemon did make an announcement a while back saying they're going to maximize print runs of this set. So that's of the set, may not necessarily be the product itself. It could be booster bundles. It could be a whole bunch of stuff. There's been so many different products that have been released with Prismatic, similar to 151 and so on and so forth. Like 151 had a ton of booster bundles reprinted. Paldean Fates have had a ton of other products, not ETBs, reprinted. So we could see like the overall value of the set drop, like per booster pack, rather than the ETB itself. So keep that in mind, right? But I do think the ETB will fall if a big reprint happens, of course. What if a big reprint doesn't happen? What if we just get little drops of like ETBs or reprints, just little bits happening here and there? That's not going to do anything. The market's going to just absorb it like crazy and then just move on. And then the scarcity kicks in, and then it's going to go into overdrive. Once this set completely goes out of print, like let's say a year down the line, is this going to be better than 151? That's the main question, right? Is Prismatic Evolutions better than the power of nostalgia from 151? Is the overall, you know, value of the set, the chase, you know, the cards that people want, is that going to be enough? Okay, so this is where we're at. So it came out in January, like middle of January. So of course, you know, about 2.5 months. Total value, $8,000. We just looked at Surging Sparks at, what was it, 1.5k, and that was the most. We see some other sets that were pretty close, sitting at that quite high level. We haven't seen a single set that was like 2k at all, or, you know, close. So to have a set with its overall value is $8,000. Also for a set that has just been released. Now, bearing in mind, when sets come out, the overall value of the cards fall. They absolutely fall off the face of the planet because it's being opened and a lot of cards are hitting the market. That just isn't the case. The pull rates of this set is absolutely terrible. It's a monstrously huge set as well. And it has all of the evolutions in it and EV as well. We didn't have that with Evolving Skies. This set is Evolving Skies 2.0. This is like this is the evolution of Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies had a better successor to it. This is the set. If this was a booster box set, I dread to think how expensive booster boxes would be. I really do. If you thought that, other stuff that's coming out, which we'll get to in a minute, was expensive, this would be on another level. So we've got the Umbreon here at 1.5k raw. And we have, of course, all the other evolutions, which are several $100s a piece, but that's not all. The other special illustration rares in the set that are not EVs are also extremely expensive. Like, these are over $100 a piece, and it's just insane. And then we've got the Master Balls to factor in as well, which add that value. And of course, we talked about a set like Palderia and Fates. We had the Baby Shinies, where you crack in those packs, you get those little hits, those little bits of value every time. This is just on a completely another level. I value and judge a set on how many cards, again, are over $100, $50, so on and so forth. Let's scroll down and let's keep going and see how far we get before we get a card that's less than $10. Now, on some of them, it was a few rows, right? But let's see. Let's just see how far down we can keep going of this set that is less than $10. Nope. Okay, so here. So we're looking at what? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Over 65 cards are over $10, and the ceiling is incredibly high. There is a reason why I made an S tier. Well, sorry, there's a reason why I made an S plus tier, and it is because of this set. So it's kind of obvious that Prismatic is the top dog right now. I mean, it is better than 151. I know that the Para Nostalgia is strong, but guys, it's an 8k value set. Even if this set gets absolutely obliterated, like let's say I had a Shining Fates level of reprints, I think the overall value of the set would still be way bigger than everything else. It's just because the pull rates suck. The pull rates are so bad. And if you look at Evolving Skies, they printed that into the ground. Had so many reprints. And look at the value of it. Look at it. It's just because of the tough pull rates. And this has all the evolutions in it. So, look, it's crazy. It is in a whole another level. And I do expect the ETBs and the product to be very, very expensive in the future once it's out of print. Oh, I dread to think the price. Okay, on to Journey Together. Now this one's again another one, interesting one. It's just released, and Prismatic set the new standard, as it were, for expensive stuff. And Journey Together is just an absolute mess of people trying to get hold of the product. And like my view on it, I kind of feel like it's just bad. Of course, of just the absolute insanity that's been going on regarding Journey Together. I thought Prismatic was bad. This is worse, and the one after that is even more crazy, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Journey Together. So Journey Together, we're going to look at the enhanced one, which is the standard one that came out in the US. This one's currently $218 for a set that's been out, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that's just crazy, okay? This set has dropped, though. It has dropped quite a bit. I mean, according to this, it's dropped 45% or over 50% since its release. I wouldn't say it was up that high anyway. I would probably say it's around here at 285, and then it has dropped already. It's kind of weird that the enhanced version is cheaper than the regular version. Like, why would you buy the non-box topper version? Just buy the box topper version. It comes with like a $15, $20 card. You basically get a box for $200, right? So let's say $200 for a booster box has fallen. There isn't a huge amount of this around. Tough print runs, again, restricted print runs is what Pokemon seems to be wanting to do right now. I don't know, it's kind of an interesting one. I was kind of vocal on this set saying that I kind of feel like if this set came out a year ago, it wouldn't be anywhere near as pumped as it was. But it's nice to see that the prices are falling, because paying $8, $9 a pack is ridiculous. especially for a normal booster box set that's literally just come out. So I'm happy the prices are dropping. Open up the set. It is a fun set to open. It is. It's actually got really good pull rates, which is actually quite nice. It's a small set as well, similar to like Stellar Crown. So it is fun to open. The artwork is very nice. The card quality is pretty good. And I am surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised at the opening experience that I've had, the little amount I've had, with Journey Together. However, I think that this era that we're in right now, where booster boxes are ridiculously expensive, I hope this gets printed into oblivion to get this ridiculous price down. I mean, for it to be basically over $200 a booster box, we just saw sets that took a long time to get to this point, and this is ridiculous. Now you may be like, well, hang on a minute, Surging Sparks is $250 and that only came out in November. Yeah, that is also ridiculous, but yeah, this is just a whole nother level, really. Okay, so look at the Journey Together. So of course, only came out literally like not even 2 weeks ago, not very long ago at all. Over $1,000 already. Now I do expect prices to fall. Prices are already falling quite heavily. It is a small set, and like I said, it's kind of on that same level as Stellar Crown. It's not a large set, so it feels a lot better to open. But the value is there. When we looked at Stellar Crown, the value is like half of this. But I do expect this to fall even more. So we got the Lily's Clefairy at over $200. That one has fallen, but still holding a very good price. Salamence over 100. Enzorok over 100. We've got the Owner's Belly Bolt, basically 100. And you've got big money cards, right? We've got some big illustration rares coming in, some gold cards that are holding good value, some even full arts that are holding value, which we don't normally see. But it does fall off quite quickly, right? We don't have that many cards over $10. It does fall off very, very fast. It is a small set, so that's probably why. So right now, I think the value Journey Together, it is there, right? It's kind of on the same level as a lot of these other sets, and the value's there for a small set. But if more gets printed, again, this may have a similar fate to some of the other sets, like Stellar Crown, for instance. That's something to consider. I think there's a lot of big fan favorites. People do like the trainer cards returning. It's been a long time since we had this. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the direction that they went with it. I think it's pretty cool. It is a nice little modern twist to it. So where would I put Journey Together? It's kind of a weird one. I think right now we're doing like as a snapshot. Of course, things will change if reprints happen and so on and so forth. But I do feel like it is a pretty decent one. If I was going to put it anywhere, it's kind of weird. It is, in my opinion, I still think it's too expensive. But I would say, it's kind of a weird one. I would put the value, it is a small set. There's a lot of value to have in the set as well. I would put it top of A. I'll put it top of A. It might slip further down the list if a big reprint comes. If a big reprint doesn't happen and it doesn't have a big impact, then it can climb up the list. But right now, I think it's top A. I don't think it's like... I think the overall reception is people do like opening up the set, and people do like the cards more than Twilight Masquerade, for example. And it is performing well in the market right now, over $200 already. So I can't put it lower than that. It's just not the way it is. Okay, to finish things off, we have Destined Rivals. This set is yet to release. It is coming out in about a month and a half time, I think, or 2 months time. Of course, we don't know the full set list yet or anything like that. We're just going to look at the booster box, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of maybe a prediction of where I'll put it. But again, it's just a little snapshot, and we will come back to this list maybe in a few months' time as well, and see where things lie. Okay, Destined Rivals booster boxes. Set isn't out yet. We're looking at $320. Jesus, right. For $320 for a booster box, it's not even out yet, and people are actually buying it. Oh my god. So yeah, I honestly don't know what's going to happen with this. I really don't. It is incredibly hyped, like insanely hyped. We don't even know what's in the set. People don't even know like half the set yet, and people are already paying over $300 for a new set that isn't even out yet. I think this set's going to be printed quite low, similar to Journey Together, which just sucks. But I do think the price will drop. We saw it with Journey Together. We saw the price, booster boxes fall by $60, $70, $80. I do expect this to be the same. But again, where would it fall to? On the release, I don't see this being $300. I think like what will happen is I think it would sit around $250. If I had to take a stab at it, I would say it'd be more than joining together, but I think it will sit around 250. Now, of course, if big reprints happened in the future, then it will have an impact. But I think the power of the return of Team Rocket is very, very strong. So we don't know yet. It's going to be like, this is just a complete guess of where I would put the future of Destined Rivals. Do I think it's going to be an incredible set? Yes. Do I think it's overhyped? Yes. Do I think it's too expensive? Hell yeah. It's going to have to be S+. I just don't see the power of Destined Rivals being poor. I just don't. I think this set, like I say, it's going to be an absolute home run. So many people are going to be after this set. It's just too good. It really is. We don't know the set yet either. It can change. This thing can fall further down the list. But right now, I think because of the hype machine going crazy, it's going to be a home run set moving forward in the future. But of course, things will change. This list has changed. The market has changed. Anything can happen. You never know. The end of this year or in 2026, Pokemon like, you know what? Here's all the reprints that you want, and just flood the market. You just don't know. We just have no idea. It is a guessing game, but we can look at history. But we're in new territory. We are in new territory. It's hard to judge these sets where we are now because we haven't been here before. We haven't been here where a new set that's on pre-order is over $300 and selling. We just haven't had that. So, I mean, if anyone thinks they got a crystal ball, hey, go for it. But this is where I'll put them right now. This is the tier list. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments of how I've rated these. Let me know what you would change. It's all down to personal opinion at the end of the day. Some of you might agree with me, some of you might disagree with me. Some of you maybe like Jace, Shroud of Fable should be way higher. You might have rated Prismatic too highly. Whatever it may be, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. This is the final one. It is updated. I will come back to this after Destined Rivals. I think maybe we might push it a little bit longer and see what else comes out later on this year to look back on what's happened in the market. Might leave it another 6 months. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that is it from me, guys, in today's video. If you watch more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on the screen. And, of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And, as always, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a long one, but I'll see you in the next one.